So God needs you to not worry about what you will say when faced with persecution from the enemy. And see, he talks about this in Mark and Matthew. He says, don't worry about what you will say when you're faced with persecution, for I will give you the words to speak. Only it won't be you speaking. Now, let me break this down. Let's take it back to John 8, when Jesus was in the temple teaching, and here come the scribes and the Pharisees. They always want to try to test Jesus and try to catch him up in a lie or something, as if he's not being honest and truthful. They hate him, but they want to be him so bad, and they are relentless in trying to reconform the law of Moses to fit their own agenda. Okay, so here they come, and they bring this woman before him that had been accused of adultery. And they say, teacher, so the law of Moses says that whenever you're caught in adultery, you should be stoned to death. So what should we do with this woman? Jesus didn't say a word. He knelt down and started writing on the ground with his finger. As they kept asking in the background, he stayed there writing. And then he stood up and said, let he that is not sin cast the first stone. And it shut them down. And he went immediately back to the ground and began writing again. But the words that he spoke completely satisfied the accusers, and they left. So now, when Jesus went down and started writing on the ground, this was in representation of him paying homage and respect to the Most High, our Father, our Creator. He went down and allowed God to speak to him through that divine conduit that we all have, through that frequency that connects us to the Most High that we came here naturally with. We are all connected through the earth because God created the earth and the heavens and everything on it. And man was made from the dust. So he went down to connect back to where he came from and allowed God to speak to him through him and gave him the words to speak to the enemy that would shut the accusers down. And him standing back up was in representation of him standing in his authority and his power. And once he did that, they walked away and left him alone. See, what a lot of us don't realize, what we have forgotten, is that we naturally came here with a connection to the Most High. We are automatically connected through him. And through that connection, we have immense powers. We have extraordinary gifts that a lot of us have not tapped into because somewhere along the way in our generation, infiltration happened, which strayed us from the divine paths that we are supposed to be on. And most of the time, that infiltration happened purposefully, intentionally, to stray us from the paths, to keep us from owning and standing in that divine authority that we naturally have. See, a lot of us are directly related to the 12 tribes of Judah. Believe it or not, this is what it is. And this is what the enemy do not want you to know. They do not want you to come into agreement with the power that you hold. They do not want you to claim the authority that God has given you. He spoke about it in Genesis. He said that he gave us dominion over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, the beasts of the field, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. And I will break all of that down in another video. But what he's saying is stand in your power, stand in your authority, and allow God to speak for you. Don't let the enemy rope you into giving a quick response or acting out of character, because that's what they want you to do. But God wants you to walk in your power and in your authority and tap back in to those spiritual gifts that are within you, that are lying dormant and waiting for you to activate them. It's in you. But this is why God tells us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Listen to what the enemy got to say, but you don't have to give a response immediately. Allow God. Allow God. Connect to him and he will speak for you. We've forgotten where we have come from. And we've allowed this 3D reality that we all live in to form our paths. And that is not the path that God intended for you. Like the saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. Same goes with your spiritual powers, your gifts. You have to nurture them. And you have to reconnect to the Most High and build a strong relationship. And you'll start to notice that slowly your gifts and your powers will start to come back. And if this sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to you, then you're on the wrong channel. But if this is making sense and it's connecting in some way, then you're right where you need to be. Allow God to connect. And let him speak for you. Let him carve your path and walk in the ways of Jesus Christ as he intended us to, as his children. You're powerful.